What's up? I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast,
where we interview successful businessmen and women to let you in on why success doesn't have a single formula to follow.
We also have a little bourbon tasting along the way, because why not? Why not?
So guys, please enjoy this episode and let us know your thoughts at Bourbon and Business Podcast on Instagram.
Coming to you from the Bourbon and Business Studio here in the Capitol Club in downtown Jackson, Mississippi. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast. How you doing this morning, Dakota?
I've been better, Tyler, but I'm still great.
Well, that's kind of good to hear. But
a little under the weather, got some allergy stuff going on, but it's okay.
I hate to hear that. It's been about 3 weeks running for you now here.
Yep, it's been a while.
Well,
Welcome to Mississippi.
You want to tell our guests about this beautiful view we have here at the Capitol Club?
This view makes me feel better. It's the Capitol Club in downtown Jackson, Mississippi. They have events here, event spaces, networking opportunities, daily lunches, a parking garage. They've got it all.
If you want it, they got it. So you need to go online and join. And you want to introduce our guests to us?
I do. Today we have special guest Adam Robbins, CEO, Southern Physical Therapy Clinic and Southern Pediatric Therapy Clinic. That's a mouthful. Welcome, Adam.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here. And what are we sipping on, Dakota?
We are sipping on Old Forrester Statesman.
So I like this a lot.
Okay. Because it's old.
That, Statesman, all that, we got Delta State, Statesman. So okay. I'm kind of putting it with that, even though it's not, but we'll just say
preconceived biases are a big part of bourbon.
Yeah, but very good burn. You pick up a couple hints of cinnamon is what I'm getting from it.
I feel like you just made that up.
Maybe.
Okay.
Could have, but it's my opinion.
So now you're influencing my opinion. Great. Thanks a lot.
A little bit of orange in there.
Okay.
But I'm going to have to land at a 9.0 on this one.
Okay.
So I like it.
Strong.
What was the cost on that bottle?
That was, I think, like $40 bottle.
40. So, good price bottle especially for what you're getting.
What's the proof, you think?
That's definitely got to be at least 100 proof.
95.
95, huh? Okay. Well,
you're right
more
there.
on burn than I thought.
Yeah.
If you're looking for this bottle, you need to go to Cheers Vineyard in Gluckstadt, Mississippi. Ask for JT. They've got pretty much anything you want. They can find it for you.
Yep. They are the premier spot in Mississippi.
Yep. Well, Adam, we appreciate you coming on. We like to always kind of start our podcast. Tell our listeners where you're from and then how you got to the point of, I would say your business, but you got like 10 different businesses. So how you became an entrepreneur.
That's a lot. Yeah. It's like 3 sentences worth.
Yeah. All right. Y'all ready? Settle in. Here we go. So I'm from New Orleans originally. Grew up there. My dad is a plumber, blue collar guy, never finished high school. And so he was always like, shut up and work kind of a dude. And so that's kind of like, I was wearing the plumbing shirt during the summers. So I was always kind of bit by the entrepreneur bug. In 2000, my mom and dad moved me up to Mississippi, to Picayune, Mississippi. And I was a city boy. And they were trying to convert me to a country. We lived on a dirt road, and I was like, man, there's dirt roads still? Like, what's going on? Like, it was a bad deal. But man, it was such an awesome, I'm so glad that happened. Like, now I love Mississippi. I love like the space that we have, and just like things are slowed down. And I hate going back to New Orleans. I love New Orleans. I've got family there, but like Mississippi's my home. So ended up, building up my friends, building up my network, went to Southern Miss for my undergrad, and eventually through a little trial and error figured out how to make decent grades. Found fitness and was really interested in human performance, and that's kind of what helped me get to a physical therapy profession. Got accepted, went to UMC, got a DPT, Doctor of Physical Therapy there. And when I graduated in 2017, I knew I was going to be working for myself at some capacity. I just didn't know what it was.
Sure.
So like any entrepreneur, I hit the ground and I was like, let's go to work, right? So I was like, let's make some money. And I was working 7 days a week, saving my money, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my career. And 2 years later, I opened up my first clinic in Picayune, and the rest is history.
Brought it home. I love it.
Yeah. So that's kind
cool.
of the story.
Well, tell us a little bit about, so where did the entrepreneur bug come from? Do you think it came from watching your dad, childhood, or is that something that you've just always had in you?
It's definitely from my dad. So my dad, he's an entrepreneur. I mean, I've seen him get up in the middle of the night and go to work. You know what I mean? So like, I always knew that was the standard in the house, right? Like, I didn't know what it was like to have 9 to 5, like clock in and clock out. Like, I never was exposed to that.
Yeah.
So I guess like I was kind of always thought that I was meant for something more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all I knew. And then my dad was also he was a driver of success. So like, he was like, get up, get to work. The grass isn't cut good enough. Like, get back out there and cut the grass again. So I always knew that like standards.
I went over it. What's more to do?
Well, we all know it. We've heard those stories. So like, the standards of excellence was always a driving.
Get the scissors and get out there.
Correct. Yeah. Your mom doesn't like the grass. Get back out there. The lines aren't straight. So I guess those two factors really drove me to do more and expect more from myself.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And I mean, we hear a lot about that on this podcast. Is like, a lot of people have that family of origin story where it's like, this is like, I watched it my entire childhood, right? It's just like ingrained in my head that this is just how it is. It's not even like that there's a choice.
Right.
It's like, no, you just work hard, you know? And you meet somebody that doesn't and you're like, are you okay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, no, that makes total sense. And everybody in the South can relate to the yard thing.
Totally.
It's just, nobody ever cuts it good enough.
Yeah, and I guess you guys are probably wired similar. Like, entrepreneurs are kind of a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
But like, I get uncomfortable when it's like, let's just check the boxes today. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I need to be out there on the edge, like figuring things out.
Mm-hmm.
Or
pushing limits.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about, because I know that you work with a lot of entrepreneurs through your coaching business that you have. What are some keys or some common factors you see in those people, the ones that are successful and the ones that are not?
Oh, that's a great question.
Good job, Tyler.
Great question.
I got in one a month in.
So for those that don't know, I also own an online coaching company where I work with healthcare practices and we help them grow their business. So I've had a really cool opportunity to study the entrepreneur at a like a third person perspective, and just like analyze like what they do and the way they think. And quite honestly, there are people that I get on, have conversations with who are interested in opening their practice or who want advice around opening their practice or business. And there are times when I'm like, you probably aren't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if I would hire you.
Yeah.
I love your energy, but like, I don't know if you're the entrepreneur, because I'm not really sure you're willing to sacrifice what it's going to take to get there.
Yeah.
But the people that do well, number one, the first thing that usually stands out is they have a really strong, compelling vision. Like, they want to go big. And they're bold enough and brave enough to say it out loud.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between somebody that gets on that call and they're like, I want to open up 5 clinics. I want to make $10 million a year, versus I just want to like, have a small little lifestyle practice.
Yeah.
So they have a vision, they're bold, and they're willing to say it out loud. And then the second thing is just their priorities. It's like faith, family, business.
Yeah.
It's like number 3 or 4. They're willing to sacrifice convenience, and quite frankly, they're willing to spend their money on invest in themselves, invest in their business, and because they feel like they're willing to do whatever it takes to be successful. And those are like the main 2 things that I see.
What part do you think purpose plays in a successful entrepreneur versus a non-successful entrepreneur? Because I've seen both of them, right? You've seen the people who like, they're just in it for the money and they do well. And then you've seen people that are in it for purpose, and some of them do well, some of them don't.
Totally. I think it's incredibly important. I think that it's less important in the beginning because the purpose is like within you. It just hasn't been articulated yet and you haven't gotten clear on it yet. So I think in the beginning, the main thing that's important is like, you got to know how to hustle. You got to know how to work. But once you start bringing people on your team, like maybe hire a front desk or hire some support, now it's more than just you.
Yeah.
Right? And now there needs to be something a little bit outside of you. And I think that that's when getting clarity on your purpose is really important, and to be able to articulate it clearly for yourself and for the team.
And it helps build that culture.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think that it's definitely important early on, but I think it's kind of like once you start building people on the team.
Sure. That makes sense.
Where do you see most entrepreneurs fail when they're getting started and say maybe they're trying to scale their practice? At some point they're going to hit, a bottleneck.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see that at, and what creates that?
Two things. The first bottleneck is you're just not working hard enough. Mm-hmm. People massively underestimate the volume of work that it takes to get things moving, and 9 to 5 ain't gonna cut it. Assuming that you got that figured out. So it's hustle in the beginning, right? But then the next phase is, congratulations, you've got a small team and you're busy, and now you ain't got no time. You're working 80 hours a week. So at that stage, there's a switch in strategy that's really hard for the entrepreneur to understand, because no amount of more hustle is going to help you grow at that stage. It's going to be more about the quality of your decisions and the systems that you build. So congratulations, you're busy, your calendar is full. Now the game becomes, how do I get my calendar empty again and build something that runs without me? And that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because you have no time, you got a little bit of money, but not a whole lot. And you have to start investing in people and systems to escape the business, to escape the hustle mentality.
It's probably hard too to not be needed all the time, right? Because as humans, we want to be wanted. We want to be desired.
Totally.
And if our team is always coming to us for answers to questions and things, it feels good to be the guy, right? Or the girl. But at some point, if you're wanting this to be an actual business without you being there every day, you're going to have to let somebody else be that person, right? And that's probably really difficult to let go of for some people that they don't understand.
Yeah, I think they don't realize they're holding on to it. And I'm speaking to my younger self and some entrepreneurs as well. We hold on to that hustle mentality. I'll do it myself. I'll just serve the heck out of my team.
Yeah.
And we hold that so tightly that it ends up being the bottleneck. Mm-hmm. We end up being the bottleneck of the business, essentially, right? But there's a shift where it's not about building the business. It's about building the people who can build the business, and getting clarity on what your ideal outcomes are, and stretching your team and allowing them to sit with some of the challenges that they're facing.
Yeah.
It's part of your job description as the CEO. Like, providing that space and that challenge for your team to rise with you is part of it.
Well, and let's touch on that, because we get a lot of questions about that, building a team that is successful. What are the keys to doing that? Finding the right people and then giving them the space to operate.
Giving space is a lot harder done than said.
Totally. So I think building a team, there's two things that come to mind that would be useful. Number one, getting clear on what your organizational board looks like. The mistake that I made was that I would build the business around the team that I had instead of building the business and finding the right people to fit the right roles for the business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So you build the business and you find the people to fit it. You don't build the business around the people that you have. So that was the one. If you can get clear on what that organizational board looks like, if I say that word, does everybody kind of know what that means? Like CEO, director of operations, right? There's that triangle looking thing. Getting clear on what all those roles are and what the ideal outcomes are for each of those roles. Mm-hmm. And that takes clarity from the owner, which is not hustle. It's more quiet time and thinking time and vision time that it takes to get clear on that. And then you can just find the right avatars to fill those roles. So I think that's really key. The second thing is, usually the biggest bottleneck in the business is the thing that's occupying your bandwidth the most. So if you kind of just sit down and you're like, this week sucked. These are the 3 things that really crippled my energy, and I hated it. Well, that's probably a job description for your next hire. You know what I mean? Because really the main way to grow a business is to free up your time so you can be creative and grow the business.
Right.
So delegating the biggest pain points on your calendar is a really good strategy too.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Reflecting on those pain points, maybe on like a weekly basis.
Totally.
Or a bi-weekly basis. And then looking back after 6 months and being like, okay, what are consistent pain points that just kill me every single week or every other week? And it's like you said, that's a job description.
It's a job description.
Somebody's willing to do that for money, and it gets it off your plate, and you can do other things.
Yeah, I usually recommend having owners do this little audit where they just make a list of all the things they're spending their time on. Mm-hmm. And if you sit down and think about it and you look at your emails and your to-do lists, you'll make a pretty big list, because I know you guys are busy. Then you can take that list and split it into 2. One is going to be like the fun stuff that you love doing, and then one's going to be the low energy drag stuff that you're like, it always occupies my ability to get to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
boom, there's your job description. Find that person, seat them, so you can start focusing.
And if you really want to be an entrepreneur, to anybody listening to this, and make your own company, you find those pain points, sit down with a couple of CEOs, figure out those pain points yourself, create an agency that handle those pain points for people, and then they'll hire your agency and you can have a bunch of clients.
Totally.
Just a tidbit.
Well, one thing you talked about here, talking about freeing up your time, freeing up the time of the CEO, or really if you have an executive in your company and you're trying to free their time up. One thing that, and the reason I'm bringing this up, has been very good for my business, and I know that you actually started a business doing this, is virtual assistants.
Totally.
Talk to our listeners a little bit about what a virtual assistant is and, how they're able, because
there's a stigma around it.
Because as the CEO, you obviously, when you get ready to free up your time, let's all be honest here, that's somebody that you're having to pay a salary. And a lot of times that slows the CEO down from making that decision, because they're like, hey, that's $50,000 right there. If I'm hiring somebody here that's going to come into the office every day.
Totally.
How can a VA kind of bridge the gap there?
Yeah. I'd say, so James Wedmore is somebody that I talk about all the time. The first step is to understand that if you value your money more than your time, you'll have neither. But if you value your time more than your money, you'll have an abundance of both. So there must be a switch in your mindset to recognize that your time is more important than your money. You just don't have a business that's big enough to afford it yet. You have to grow it. And you have to just trust that process. So I'd say making money at that stage is not the most important thing. It's freeing up your time. So that's number one. Regarding a virtual assistant, I hired my first Filipino virtual assistant, I guess in probably like towards the tail end of my first year in business. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I got on a call with this person and I was like, hey, my name's Adam. Help me figure out how to organize this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And that was the process. That was the start. And I met with her every day and we started building out structure. And then through that commitment, I started to understand how to best leverage this person. And then that skill set grew. And eventually we started a virtual assistant agency where we can help place these talented Filipino workers in your companies to free you or your executive team up to work on the high leverage tasks. It's incredible. I can give you two quick examples. There is a pivotal point in business where you're kind of eclipsing that $1 million a year mark. So you got just enough money to like spend.
Yeah.
But you don't have enough money to hire like
bad hires.
Well, you don't have enough money to hire like high dollar people, like $100,000 a year people, like director of marketing, right? But what you could do is build a Filipino team to be extensions of you inside each of those departments. So you as the CEO can sit in those roles more effectively with assistants for marketing, assistants for operations, assistants for recruiting. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
And I did that, and that was the thing that allowed me to go from one clinic to 3 without breaking the bank.
Yeah.
So that's a really key part of growth with my story. The second thing is I just hired a full-time executive assistant that works for me. So I don't answer my emails anymore. I meet with her every day. She knows my entire team on all my companies, who they are, what their key responsibilities are, and she pushes every project forward for me every single day without me being there. And that has been massively transformational.
Yeah, that's life-changing, not just game-changing.
I mean, like, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, it's allowed me to like build stronger partnerships and open more businesses and stay at the high levels of the organization so I can actually move things forward.
That's fantastic. Tyler, what's your experience been with the virtual?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is like, number one, these people are highly educated.
I've heard that, like, some have doctorate degrees.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, and as far as, work ethic, I mean, second to none. A lot of times, here in the U.S., we've kind of, and there are great people obviously here that you can hire and work here. But like these people are really getting the opportunity to do something unique that they may not have in their home country. So work hard, highly competent, and really have the ability to grow into different roles. Even things that they haven't done before, they pick it up quick. So I've had a phenomenal experience with it. So
I'd say loyalty,
yeah,
extremely loyal people, and even people on my team, because now we're at a place where we have directors of marketing, and I give them virtual assistants, right? And even my lead front desk, because I know their time is valuable, and if they're spending time on non-revenue generating activity, that's costing me money, right? So like I want to free them up to be executive executives in their role. And so that's, it's just extremely important part of our growth.
It feels like that's like a hidden superpower for small business owners right now.
Totally.
Because large corporations like huge banks and stuff cannot do that. Like there's regulations, like you can't just hire people from random countries and be like, yeah, we're good. You know what I mean? Like crazy background checks and all that kind of stuff have to happen first, and drug tests and, everything that goes into that. And like facilitating all of that and the logistics of it would just be impossible to do. So that's a huge advantage that small business owners have, that they can just flip a switch and do something like that versus a huge corporation. So they've got an advantage there that they need to take.
I mean, at the end of the what it was explained to me like this one time: we're all in a competition to attracting customers to our business, right? And how can you conserve as much resources, i.e., capital and human labor, to attracting customers to your business? And it's going to be really hard to do that if you're in that growth phase of business where you're trying to get over the hump and margins are thin, which is very common in healthcare. You can't afford it.
Yeah.
You can't afford $100,000 a year salary, right? So it's just a really great strategy for growing your team.
So what do you do? Obviously, you're coaching people. You're running 2 or 3 different companies.
Yeah.
What do you do to pour into yourself to keep yourself motivated?
That's a great
to keep
question.
running like
That's
you are?
2 great questions, dude.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, I would say every single time that we're all entrepreneurs here. We've all been to that low point where it's like, man, I'm probably doing a little bit too much. So I've been there. And
Still there, Adam.
Yeah, I know what that's like. And I get there twice a year. So I think recognizing what that's like is important, so that way I can be more self-aware. But every time life's been good, whether it's making more money, being happier, being more physically fit, it's always been during times when I'm pouring into myself the most. And so I feel like when we get to a place where we prioritize ourselves, I think most things go well. So I hire coaches and mentors that help me get out of my own way, right? I think that's incredibly important. I think being connected with a group of peers who can challenge your perspective and can hold you accountable is really key. I think dedicating your time to some type of physical exercise every day, whether that's CrossFit or swimming or biking or whatever it is, I think that's really important to keep that discipline. And then some type of spiritual health as well, whether that's going to church or prayer or meditation. I think if you commit to those things and that's part of your job description as a CEO. And I can usually tell that when things are starting to turn down in my companies, it's usually during times when I'm sacrificing my self-care routines. So,
which feels counterintuitive.
Correct.
Yeah.
But every time I keep myself first, and not from a place of greed, but from a place of like self-worth, right? Like it's important that I stay healthy, that I show up as a father.
Yeah.
You set boundaries around your energy that help you prioritize the most important things. Yeah. So it's just a good discipline.
That's really good.
Great info. Well, tell our listeners if they want to connect with you, because I know you've got multiple businesses, what is the best way to find you and your businesses?
So the best way is probably on social media. You can find me at Dr. Adam Robin everywhere on social media. My clinics are Southern PT Clinic, so southernptclinic.com. You can check us out there. Probably if you wanted to email me, it's A-Robin at southernptclinic.com. That's my primary email. Yeah, check me out there.
Okay, great. And Dakota, give us your thoughts on the bourbon.
I thought it was really good. Old Forrester Statesman. I thought it was I'm going to call it a legacy bourbon flavor. I think that makes sense. It's got a good color to it, which I don't comment on often, but presentation is everything. So I like the color. It's got a bit of a caramel flavor. I tasted absolutely 0 cinnamon, so I don't know what you were pulling out of thin air there. It was more nutmeg to me, but that's okay.
Educated him.
I'm gonna land at a 9.02 though. So your rating was spot on. Well done.
Well, good deal. Well, we will land at a 9.0 for the bourbon.
That's how you did that math in your head.
And we're also going to trademark. What'd you call it?
Legacy bourbon flavor.
Yeah, that's trademark. So if you try to use it, be ready for a letter. And to all our listeners, however you stream this podcast, if you would give us a rating and follow us on social media, and we'll see you.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
If you have any feedback or would like to be featured, reach out to us at bourbonandbusinesspodcast@gmail.com.
Or find us on Instagram at Bourbon and Business Podcast.
Thanks again for listening.
Follow us for more content and info on the next episode.